So I welcome you tonight to this session of movement and meditation. Beginning with stillness, beginning with an arrival of awareness home to the body, a slowing down, a moment to let go of all the things past, to let go of whatever happened earlier today or this week or this month, just letting that be. Water under the bridge. And letting go of plans, letting go of any sort of worries about the future, wonderings about what's next. For this moment, for the time together, allowing the awareness to be here, present. With the breath, with this movement of inhale and exhale, always here, the breath, always in the service of life, the breath arriving, dwelling in the body, nourishing the body, departing in service of cleansing the body. Be there with the breath. Just be there with the breath. Here in this moment, always present, always a friend to the body. And take this moment to ask yourself these questions that are worth asking at any moment, really throughout the day, but all the more before some intentional time. The question, how do I feel? Really allowing yourself to answer that question, not as a passerby, as a superficial greeting, but as a dear friend, asking yourself, how do I feel like I really want to know? So checking in with yourself. How do I feel? Answering for yourself, to yourself. And there may be many words that are coming to mind, many feelings. There may be one big one or many big ones. Just allowing yourself to feel what you feel and to acknowledge that for yourself. How do I feel? And following with the question, what do I need? What do I need? Here in this present moment, is there something about the way I feel that could be supported by a need to be met? Is there something that could feel better, that could be soothing or comforting, nourishing, edifying? How do I feel? How do I wish to feel? What do I need? And that's the invitation for you to take this moment to feel into this moment, to acknowledge all that is emerging, to welcome the body just as it is in this moment, full of feelings. If you are human today, you might have felt hundreds of things already today. And feeling into what you might need and making in your own heart, in your own mind, an intention to practice in a way that supports these needs, that you're choosing the way in which you move today, the way in which you practice, to be nourishing and to meet these needs. So you might need rest, you might need deep replenitude, you might want to practice everything I suggest lying down, and that is absolutely an offer and an option. You can do everything in a very still and quiet place, and you might have another need. You might have a dynamic need, a need to get some energy moving and out, and you're welcome to express your body in bigger movements. This is your time, your practice. I'm here with some ideas and some suggestions. And as we do, I invite you to begin with an awareness of the lower part of the body, of the feet and the legs. Of the feet and the legs. So you can do this lying down. If you're lying down, stay comfortable. If you're seated in the chair, just become aware of where your feet are. If you're sitting on the floor, let your feet extend so that you have access to the toes, and the toes can curl down and bend, and then spread open and lift, and a few times, 5 or 6 times, you curl and uncurl the toes, moving those lowest joints in the body. With a forward and back at the toes, and then dividing the toes out, the big toes separated from the rest of the crew there. Seeing if you can do that in your foot. So it's like the big toe leads the way. It's like the big toe reaches back and then reaches forward, and then the little toe starts to lead the way. And that involves the ankles. That little toe will scoop in, and the soles of the feet might turn towards each other, and then that little toe will scoop out to move the soles out to the outward facing. So you're moving the toes and the ankles, and the toes are dancing and the ankles are smoothly moving inside and outside a few times, a little like windshield wipers in and out. And then pointing and flexing the feet, getting into a movement that's a little more deliberate, a little more articulate for the ankles. Up and down with the feet that point. And from that up and down into a rotation, drawing circles with the feet. You might do that as if the two are parallel, or you might do that in a mirroring of each foot, but you're exploring slowly. You're exploring, where can I point that foot to stretch the ankle to access those little details in one direction, and then switch and go rotating around the other way. Circle it around. Excellent choice. And from the circles into infinities, getting more articulate with the ankles, finding where can those feet point and switch in the middle like a horizontal 8, looping them up and around in one direction and then up and over in the other direction, looping that around, finding the loop-de-loops of the infinities of the ankles. And then you might need a shake. You might need to give your feet a little dance party after that, or you might need stillness. You might need a moment of breath and rest and letting that ease itself with a few moments of noticing, these few moments of being present to what that feels like. What are the effects in the body? Our ankles play enormous roles in our ability to balance and our ability to walk through uneven terrain like we used to on a regular basis, right? Before sidewalks and shoes, we would negotiate uneven ground, and our ankles knew how to fine-tune our steps to keep us upright and organized in space. So thank you, ankles. If you're lying down, you might just bring a thigh up part way. If you're sitting, you might hold your thigh in your arms so that your knee is free, and we can begin with a little knee movement, opening and closing. Just one leg, beginning on one side. Pick your side, right or left. Knee lifts and lowers, opens and closes. And then you discover that there might be a rotation available at that knee socket, painting a circle, drawing a spiral as if with the foot. And do allow the hip to respond to that. This is not just the knee socket that moves. There's a little responsiveness in the hip, But the ankle is passive. The ankle is just hanging out, going along for the ride. The leg gets closed, the leg gets opened. And at some point you'll switch directions so that you've got these rotations in a clockwise and counterclockwise way. And from those circles, I invite you to explore the figure 8, so that vertical 8. Finding that shape to make with the foot, kind of a bubble, scooping it around, scooping it up and around. In one direction, reversing that direction so you feel the nuance of the tendons and the ligaments around the knee. Drawing a figure 8 in the sky, left, right, and whatever other movements the knee might want. It might want to draw just the smiley face, or maybe a frowny face, or maybe it's got some other expressions of infinities or swings that you have to access a better experience here in your knee joint. When you finish one side, take a moment to compare. Let that switch between sides be a moment of reflection, of noticing, of curiosity. What just happened? How are the two legs upon the floor? What you did on one side, you'll repeat on the other. Bracing the lower leg in a way that the upper leg in a way that the lower leg is free to move, open and close, beginning with that simple. And what can this knee joint do at its most simple? It opens to a straight leg, it closes, heel to the hip. Figuring out how to do that without using the ankle. And when you find that, you begin the rotation. A simple circle to start with in one direction and then switching to the opposite direction. Pointing that foot, but letting the ankle be soft. This is a movement at the knee, a little bit at the hip, not in the ankle. From the circles in the two directions to a figure 8, just drawing the number 8 with the lower leg, finding that switch, that smaller loop. And that can change directions, finding an opposite direction, accessing those ligaments, the tendons of the knee around the muscles of the lower leg and the thigh. And seeing what else this knee might need. Does it need a kind of a swinging movement or a looping movement? Where else does it need to go? Making infinities, making whatever other movements it might need, letting the two legs even out. Whether you're sitting again or lying down, I invite you to practice with both legs together. If you've got it in you to scoop both knees up, you might balance for a moment on the hip bones, on the sitting bones. Woo! And then letting them open back out and down. Core strengthening in this work to bring both knees up, whether you're lying down or sitting up. Aiming to move the legs together as if they're a single unit, as if there's a ribbon that is looping the legs to each other so the muscles move the same on the left and the right. And finishing this piece of the movement with the feet on the floor and the knees open up. So again, you might be lying down into a butterfly, you might be sitting. Starting with that organic feeling out what your hips need, how close, how far from the pelvis that space feels helpful, beneficial. And we've got lots of options. If you're sitting, there might be a forward bend for you. You might like to fold over this shape of your legs. This might feel good in the hips. And that can happen in a number of directions, forward or to the side. And from the lying down version, the legs can move up and down like they might in a butterfly that's perched on a leaf, on a flower, on a petal, letting the knees open and close. And possibly just letting them rest from the floor. In this butterfly position, you might challenge yourself to also scoop and lift the pelvis a little bit, getting a deeper stretch on the inner thighs. Something that can be accessed in the sitting position by moving the spine in sort of a cat-like pose. So some of those different muscular accesses, different weights, whether the body is sitting or lying down, will engage different muscles, different aspects, but finding the lower back and the pelvis in this movement, wherever you might be. And taking another 5 to 10 breaths with the hips, with the lower body. To prepare to do something quite similar with the arms, beginning with the fingers and the hands in just a moment. As you wrap up all this access into your hips, notice what else the legs might need. And let them rest, and let yourself rest either seated or lying down. Find this moment to acknowledge what you've done, acknowledge what that feels like. Feel into the legs, the hips, the knees, the ankles and toes. For all those stretches, all those movements. And when you're ready, we're going to get into the fingers and the hands. Your hands can be anywhere comfortable, somewhere you can make these movements and have access to tucking the thumbs in, wrapping the fingers right around them, pumping a little bit while you've got the thumbs, getting the muscles in the hands to engage and soften. And then one at a time, the fingers open up. One at a time, they open and stretch, spreading wide and closing again, and doing at least 3 repetitions of making these fists. At least 3 repetitions, up to 6 or 7, but at least 3, maybe 4, maybe 5. Especially if you've been working with your hands today, whether that's been at a computer or in a garden or in a kitchen or caring for another human body. Taking a moment to give these fingers your attention, your detailed movement. You squeeze out the old, squeeze out the fatigue, squeeze out the spent metabolic waste. And when the fingers are open, spread them out. Let that space appear between each finger. Find that webbing. Make your hands bigger and bigger. Expansive, expansive. And then one at a time, just the thumbs close in and they open, and just the index fingers. Just kidding. Try to just get one finger at a time. Accessing that webbing, accessing these muscle groups, smaller parcels of muscles. And again, at least 3 times, at least 3 attempts of each finger, and you might be moving thumb to little finger or back and forth, thumb to little back to thumb. No wrong way to do this. And up to 5 or 6, you know what you need. If your hands are like, this, then you do it one extra time. Kitty cat claws, just folding the knuckles, just bringing the fingertips to the open palm. And you might even close and open the palm here with the knuckles curled up. Finding that exercise through the hands. We are in the last few days here of Taurus season, and we're entering Gemini season, which is all about the hands and the arms. So little rotations 2 or 3 times in each directions with the thumbs left, thumbs right, whoop-de-doos, and the index fingers 3 times left, 3 times right. And the middle fingers getting access to the range of motion that our human bodies come with. Each of the fingers down the line, little movements 2 or 3, and then everything you can think of. Typewriter actions, big giant typewriter, like you had to expand your fingers. Rain movements, little gentle wiggles down, and any kind of shaking, dance party, Muppet show action that your hands might need. As we move into the wrist, and you might need to rest. You might need to give your hands a moment of breath. You might be ready to move up and down through that fancy joint of the wrist. We've been doing it this way. Try doing it the other way. Try facing the palms to the ceiling and seeing how that's a little different relationship to gravity. And when that feels satisfied, rotations, you might try them with a loose fist or with the open hands, but in kind of a familiar facing, and then try the unfamiliar facing. Try the palms facing upward. Rotation, and change that direction. Rotations go clockwise and counterclockwise. And we've also got more nuanced movements, infinity movements. Right and left. And notice where else, what else do the wrists do? Side to side, they have parts of circles worth working out. Where are they soft? Where are they crackly? Getting into the wrists. Notice if your shoulders need a rest, if you need to let go through the shoulder blades before we get into the elbows, and then you reach forward to straighten the arms, and then touching the shoulders is all it takes to bend the elbows, and that's what we explore in several directions. Straight in front, because it's a nice image. That's right. Reach to the people in the world, and then out to the sides at the shoulder level. Lengthening out and bringing it in. Up above the head, overhead, reaching to the ceiling. What does that feel like in the elbows? Do we take them for granted? Sometimes they complain, then they get our attention. And if you have the space behind you to reach straight-armed into the back. Again, about 5 times, 3 at least, maybe 6 or 7 if it's feeling especially good. Around the 5 average. And arriving to the fingertips at the shoulders for the elbows to meet together. And this open and closed elbow movement. This might be focused on your shoulders if that's where you're feeling it. You might move your whole spine in a sitting cat pose here, especially if you know that your spine and your back have been working hard. You might have been using your body hard today. So this can be just the shoulders, just the elbows. This can be all about the spine as you curl and tuck and tilt. Same thing with the rotations as we move from the simple movement to circles with the elbows up and over and around. You might do that. In a focus on the shoulders, you might include your whole spine. You might make this all about the low back and the mid back and the neck as you do this. This is your choice of how deeply, how big of a movement you're making, where you're focusing your attention, your intention for the class, hopefully crafted by your needs, by your own knowing of what you're feeling And so giving your shoulders, that's right, any other of the variations. Some of you might have your things that you especially like to do for the shoulders, a triceps stretch by cupping the opposite elbow, hand over the upper chest. That might be something that your body's excited and delighted by. You might like to put the elbows inside the elbows for a kind of an eagle arm stretch. If you've got your arms wrapped up this way, you're lowering through the back, you're down in the shoulder blades and up and away from the face, opening away from the face and the forearms. If you're choosing this one. And the hands can be sort of loosely, grab them however you can get them, but the back goes down, the shoulder blades go down, and as the front comes up, it moves away from the face. You open forearms to the front. That'll get the supraspinatus, some of those higher fibers of trapezius muscle, some of those parts of the back that feel hard to get. That's right. That's right. And then you might need some more swimming movements. Then you might need to really get in there between the shoulder blades. And we'll do a little hands together in the back once you're standing. But that's right, give your arms some soothing, evening things out, and then we'll work with the neck before we move back into the whole spine. Let's do the sequence of these 4 neck movements that hopefully are well familiar to most of you. So taking a moment to feel the neck, to sit tall wherever you are, or if you're lying down, to feel that alignment, the length. And starting with a forward and back, it might be tucking the chin in and then looking up. It might be a big movement of the head if you're sitting. Honoring the signals, listening to the neck, and going only as far as the comfort is there. The body says yes. Forward and back. The head nods up and down. The next one is a side to side. So from the middle, from the center, finding the tilt of the ear towards the shoulder. The head is tall throughout, the spine is lengthened throughout. And you might hang out in that side bend and do some explorations, pulls, lengthens, up and overs. From the side to a twist, from a tall position, looking over the shoulder, letting the eyes move deeply into the corners of the eyes, to the left, to the right. Same thing, you might hang out in that twist and do some smaller movements, sneaking in a little yes at the edge of that twist to get at those parts of the neck. Yes to the left, yes to the right. In your slow motion, no. And as you arrive at the center, beginning a slow motion spiral, a very slow circle movement with the nose. Eyes can be closed or open. If they're open, notice what you see as you gaze in this spiral around your space. If they're closed, let them be soft in the sockets. Let the eyes go along here for the ride. As you come back to the center, come back to stillness, change direction. We're going to change from a point of stillness, going the opposite direction, around and around. 2 or 3 rounds again, arriving at the center. embarking on an infinity symbol, letting the nose, if it were a pencil or a crayon, draw that ribbon shape of an infinity, a horizontal 8. And the jaw sort of goes along for the ride. It's loose. You let it respond to the movement, to the left, to the right, to the right, to the left. Swimming, and then change the direction. The reverse of infinity. Finding that movement in that soft, bobbing, yes-like movement. A little left, a little right, and back to center. You might need a breath there to arrive and recalibrate, to ease off any dizziness. Let's take a moment with the jaw, do a little air mouthwash. Bubbles of air. Slightly opening the jaw, letting it shift left and right. Another way to access loosening the tension of the cheeks, of the jaw, of the neck is to rotate the tongue inside of the closed lips. So the lips are closed, but you slide the tip of your tongue between the outside of your teeth and the lips, and then drawing a circle with the tongue around and around. Slow it down. See how deeply, how far you can get it. And change direction. You might be noticing this increase in moisture in the mouth, the stimulation of saliva, softening through the tongue, through the neck. The tongue's this giant muscle that goes quite deeply into the throat. So getting that moving, and then into stillness, taking a few breaths. Notice what you notice. See what it feels like, where you've arrived. At this moment in our time together, we've moved all the major joints. And we've got the length of the spine still to deal with. If you are comfortable to be on the hands and knees on the floor, this is the moment. You're invited to find this cat pose, cat and cow pose, finding the hands and the knees and getting into the forward and backward bend. And this can be done sitting down. It can be done without this orientation to the floor. If the wrists can't do it, if the knees can't do it, there's every reason to be seated and to move the spine in this curve and curl, rounding, making that convex position, and then lifting into the concave. Tail goes back and up, the head goes back and up. Take your time and then take your explorations. Let the cat pose guide you and what this cat needs based on your intention. Finding the movements that you need. Noticing where the body calls your attention. Is it in the hips? Are there specific hip movements to slow down and focus on? Maybe explorations of positions of the leg, of the knee, to access some aspect of what you need today. And maybe it's not the lower body. Maybe it's the arms and the shoulder. Maybe it's something to work out with the upper body. There's no wrong way to do this. Let this be a dialogue, a conversation. between the body's needs and these suggestions, these ideas of what could happen, what could feel good. And everything remains alive, exploratory, approaching with an attitude of curiosity, with kindness. Responding to this moment. What do I need now? What does the body need now? Are there joints that are asking for special attention? Is there some accommodation I need to make? And we will go in, as we did in the last few weeks, into some of the back strengthening work. So if and when you're ready, letting yourself lengthen out on the front of the body. You might rest in a crocodile pose, supporting the head. You might rest more flat, if that's what you need. And in this practice, you'll begin with opposite arm and leg, making a choice if you'll be beginning with right leg, left arm, or the opposite, right arm and left leg. So making that choice, making that decision. Straightening one arm. And so in my example, right arm and left leg, my left arm supports the forehead. And on the inhale, right arm and left leg lift up, along with the neck and the head through the strength of the back. I'm not looking up, right? I'm not lifting through the neck, but I'm lifting through the shoulders and back. And so the head lifts up because it's attached and connected. Reaching longer, arm and leg. These might be short and fast lifts. If that's where the strength is, that might be lifts and holds. If you have the stamina to keep reaching, keep challenging the body, lengthening and reaching. And the typical recommended at least 3, maybe about 5, up to 6 or 7 repetitions. And what you do on one side, you will repeat on the opposite. And this might be plenty challenging for some of you. You might wish to take a break and rest, and you can rest lengthened and stretched out. You can fold up. Some of you enjoy the challenge and want the full body, both leg, both arm variation. As always, this is your practice, so tuning into what you need, whether that's a few more repetitions or a choice of rest, a choice of ease. And take a few more moments and breaths, wherever you are with this practice. Another few breaths before moving on to the downward dog, into the mountain pose. So finding a deep sense of rest for at least 3 breaths. At least 3 deep breaths. And if and when you're ready, and you might need to do this against the wall today, and that's a fine choice. You might do it at the back of the chair. If you are on the floor, you're setting up again on the hands and the knees. In my case, I'm rolling my blanket here to just be under the heels of my hands. So the fingers are a little bit lower. That helps my wrists stay more comfortable. You might appreciate that for less of a bend in the wrists, and then you might tuck your toes under to lift the knees. And practice in your manner. This might be up and back down to rest. This might be up and staying for a moment, breathing naturally. Keep lengthening through the spine. Any ideas that were possible in the cat pose, including walking in place or exploring where one leg might point, might go, are available. Feel free to play and to explore. And whatever you practice on one side, you mirror. Taking a few breaths and your time in these shapes, in these efforts, listening to your body, responding to what you need. As we move down from here up to standing, you know how that goes. To arrive in these few moments of feeling what it feels like to be upright. What is it even to be on the feet in this human form? As you stand up, take a moment to bring the shoulders to the back of the body, drop down through the shoulder blades like you're wearing your superhero cape. That emblem across the chest, open through the collarbones. And when you're ready, find that parallel position for the feet, interlace the fingers, let the hands flip downward as you reach up. Shoulders stay away and down. Shoulders are soft, but the elbows are long. And if you have it in you, you come up on the toes. This might be a spot you hang out for a moment, cultivating the strength and the balance, the alignment. Planning the usual, at least 3, about 5, maybe up to 6 or 7 repetitions, depending on how your balance serves you today, standing on the toes. Finding that tallest, longest position. The chin tucked in, the back of the neck as long as the whole body arises. Tall and long. to step wider. As that feels complete and satisfied, the arms can be at the sides for a side bend, a simple lean, a simple reach, maybe including the arm if the body wants that, if that's something welcome and invited. Moving at your pace, left to right, right to left. And you might try this shifted variation, this variation like you might be familiar with back if you were or continue to do a classic triangle pose. In that the arms start out and there's a reach and then a fold. So you might find something a little different, a little more stretchy in this variation, that you start with the arms open and there's a reach and then that shift into the side. You know, in my body, I feel it a little more in my hip. And that's where I know that through the side of my body, I have the greatest tightness. But you might feel it in your back and your armpit. You might feel it down in your thigh. You're going to feel it wherever your body's got the resistance. So getting curious about that, staying inquisitive, exploratory. What am I feeling? What is this? How can I make it feel better? Where can I put my arm? Where can I put my hips, my neck to make it give me what I need? Following the side bend, we've got our standing twist. Invitation again to start in your starfish and your all limbs open position, to then wrap them around your body and look behind. Wrap and look and wrap and look. Going as quickly or as slowly as you like to go, giving your spine what it needs today in the standing twist. And as that winds down, as you find your satisfaction there, you'll prepare for a forward-backward bend. In the forward and backward combination, you begin at the center, so arrive with the feet again under the hips, a little closer together than they have been. Lots of choices for the arms. The arms might stay low. You might want to keep those shoulders minimally engaged. You might get the arms in there. You might want this to be about the back and the strength there. Again, checking in with your intention. You might even want to interlace the fingers behind. That's an option if you're really working with opening through the front of the chest and getting the rhomboids, the space between the shoulder blades satisfied. So lots of options. Arms can be low, arms can be high, and arms can be behind. So for the backward bend, choosing whichever arm orientation is best for you, looking up, high release, chest is open, and the slow forward bend, beginning with arching, maybe touching the knees, getting the back to catch up with that. That might be your movement today. You might go deeper. You might move fingers towards the floor. Keeping the knees soft, keeping the head passive. Forward bend, backward bend combination. So going back through the position that you came in through, wherever those arms are. You can switch it up. This is your practice. And then you arrive at the center. So it's back, forward, back, center, 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 back, forward, and back, and center. No rush. Your practice for your Whole body here. Making decisions and choices about your speed and your intensity based on what you know and what you know you need. Great. One last one if it's in there, but do not push yourself, do not strain. We'll move from here into a balancing pose and we'll wind things down. This is our third week of May. There are 5 Mondays in May again this year. We've been blessed with the generosity of Mondays. So we'll stick with this balancing pose for the end, through the end of the month, which has been the dancing variation. So my suggestion is to first develop that steadiness with a knee in the front, and that might be both hands, that might be one hand. All the details for balance that you need, those focused eyes, something that's not moving on the floor, on the wall. As that leg gets steady in the front, you find that same foot behind. And as that gets steady, there's a lean, the upper body leans forward and a space opens up from the heel to the hip, from the hip to the heel, making that a loop. Arriving in and out. With at least 2 rounds on each side, so at least 2 repetitions. Finding your balance, knowing this is a muscle or a whole group of muscles, as well as focus, grounding through your physical body, as well as energetically, having that confidence that yes, I've got this. I am steady on a single foot. Keep checking with your body, keep noticing what else you might need, whether any of these movements have inspired other movements, checking in with all the joints, checking in with the trunk, its pelvis and hips, with its shoulders and neck. What else does this body need at this moment? How else can you move to be a good steward of the human form? Gorgeous. And I see some of you coming down into rest. This is the moment to do so. You might have some more movements and stretches as you gather as well, anything you might need in terms of blocks or cushions or pillows or blankets. Surrounding yourself with the comforts. That's right, offering your body the best, really. I mean, if you're not going to give it the best, most accommodating situation here. What can you do for your position to be held like the precious human you are, like the gift of your light wrapped up in this human suit. Letting the body find its position, taking a moment to let the legs and the arms sort of find their placement, their position. And it might be completely different today. You might have your position, but today something might need a little shift, a little different. Be fresh, be curious about it. Settling in and letting the eyes close. We'll begin with a short breathing practice and we'll slide right into our yoga nidra work. I'm coming off of this intensive training with my teacher Uma Dinsmore Tooley. So I'm just delighted to be dropping into that space of conscious awareness with a little more skill, even yet a little more intentional consciousness. And everything we do now will serve the yoga nidra coming up. So this breathing practice is very much about supporting the body in its optimal oxygenation, right? We've got access to air all around us all the time. We live in a world abundant with air, abundant with this resource of our breath. And isn't that just wonderful to notice, just to know that there is breath. There will be breath. For all the breaths. And so just being here with that, with the body resting right where you are, perhaps lying down, perhaps sitting. Feel the support beneath the body. Feel how and where your body is held. Where you can trust. What's got you there? What part of the floor? Perhaps a piece of furniture. Maybe you're on a mat or on a bed or on a chair. Feeling into that. It's up and under you. Holding this body so that it can breathe effortlessly. And so we'll come back today again to our practice of the progressive breath, of the interrupted breath. And then we'll move from that into an ocean breath, the Ujjayi pranayama. And when you're ready, you might pause partway into the inhale and just rest and then continue the same inhale. And there may be just two parts and there may be more, there may be several pauses. You might breathe in a little bit and pause and continue that inhale and pause. And as you pause along the way, you soften, you welcome, you accommodate, make space. And so that the next few breaths might feel like you're inflating a balloon a little more, a little maybe close to its capacity, maybe all the way full. So that you try to take a giant, giant inhale. So in the pauses along the way, you prepare, you soften, you prepare, and then you get this giant inhale that fills up the belly, and it fills up the sides, up into the armpits, and up to the collarbones. And you release the exhale smooth and effortless, and you might have to take a moment. It might be a long exhale. You might take a moment before it actually departs completely. And this might feel nice to interrupt the inhale. This might be what you need to break it up and pause along the way. And you might be hungry for just a giant inhale, a giant yogic breath. And again, this is your body, your practice. So if you're feeling a call to do something with your body, trust those calls. I'm here with suggestions, with just ideas. Take them or leave them. A few giant breaths if those are welcome. A last interrupted breath if that is welcome. And a return to an effortless breath, a breath that comes and goes on its own. Let the mind focus around the throat. Let yourself watch the breath at the throat. Just taking a moment to listen and to watch there. And if you're familiar with Ujjayi by name, if it's a practice that you've been familiar with, you might just jump in and practice Ujjayi. And if you'd like to try this breath, it's a tranquilizing breath, a calming breath. And it's like a tiny roar, like a tiny muffled roar in the throat. And the breath moves in and out of the nose like it does throughout its natural progression, but you imagine that it's coming in and out of the neck. And there's a bit of a vocal pattern, a muscular pattern. Without the vocal sound, you're not vocalizing, but you're preparing the throat as if to say AH on inhale and HA on exhale. And seeing if that comes comfortably, naturally. Listening to that sound. If it does, the mouth can be closed to stay moist. And listening to whatever sound the breath produces. And listening to this movement of the breath. Coming and going. And it might feel nice to let go of any effort, to return to the natural breath. To give the breath permission to show up any way it wants to. The breath is your old friend, your servant, the delivery service of nutrients and support. And the friend that cleans up and takes away the burdens and the heaviness. And we'll move into the practice of yoga nidra in the next few moments. And just a reminder that this is your practice. And so in the suggestions that I offer, you make decisions, you make choices. You might follow these suggestions, you might choose otherwise. The invitation is to be comfortable. In this practice, the body is organized to its greatest comfort. The more you can support any part of you, the better. whether that's sitting or lying down. Moving into this space of yogic rest. In this practice of guided awareness, in this practice where you are invited to guide your awareness home, to your inner world, to that which is alive within you every day. The inner landscape that you live in. At the same time as you're out here in the three-dimensional world, as you're out here in the world of objects and relationships and stuff. We've got this outside and this inside at the same time. So taking a moment to situate both, to notice what your body might need, if there's any request from the inside to be comfortable in a certain way, in a special way. And check that you're warm enough. The practice often cools the body down, so having something around for your warmth is recommended. Any little detail of care as you are the steward of this body. You're caring for this human form. By showing up here tonight and by every choice that you make in position and placement and nourishment and activity and rest. And so choosing rest, choosing this moment of conscious rest might be the greatest gift that you're giving your whole system here. The physical body, the nervous system, the digestive system, the heart and lungs, the kidneys with the adrenals in their neighborhood, all the organs of absorption and elimination, the digestive organs, the bladder, reproductive organs, or the spaces of reproductive organs, perhaps no longer present. The legs, the arms, the neck and head, scanning through the body to make it as comfortable as you can for this practice, soothing any details, and telling yourself that I'm now in the practice of yoga nidra. I am now in the practice of yoga nidra. And some of you might have a resolve that you hold in your hearts, and some of you might have an open heart to call in wisdom from the body. And there's no wrong way to do this, taking this moment to be with your heart's desire, perhaps articulated in words that you repeat in your mind, perhaps in that openness of a question, how do I wish to feel? And so dropping into the heart space, like placing an order at the cosmic counter, dropping in the intentions, the desires, the resolves that you may be holding in your heart, articulating them in the voice of your heart, or holding this question, how do I wish to feel? Inviting the body to be a partner in feeling, in living, in being, just as you dream to be. With the awareness here in the heart space, listen and feel the heart beating, and be aware of the space of the lungs, and drop down behind the heart to the space between the shoulder blades. Let the awareness drop in And notice the right shoulder blade and the right armpit, the back of the right shoulder and the top of the right shoulder around to the front of the right shoulder. Spiral this awareness around the right upper arm and elbow, to the right forearm and wrist, the right hand, thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring, and little finger. Awareness of the right hand. And bring this awareness back to the heart, to notice the left shoulder blade, the left armpit, and the left shoulder from the back to the top to the front. Spiraling around the left upper arm and elbow, and the forearm and wrist into the left hand with its thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring, and little finger. Connecting the left hand back to the heart. Awareness of the chest, right and left, and the breastbone at the center. Upper abdomen, navel, lower abdomen and pelvis. Right hip and left hip, right buttock and left buttock. Move the awareness down the legs, right and left, front and back of the thighs and knees, into the lower legs with their calves and shins and ankles and heels, right foot and left foot. Right foot, big toe, second toe, third, fourth, and fifth, and the left foot, big toe, second toe, third, fourth, and fifth. Awareness of the sole of the right foot, the sole of the left foot, and these feet connected to the heart. Bring the awareness back again to the heart, to notice the collarbones, right and left, and their hollow between the front of the neck, the chin, the lips, right cheek and left cheek, right ear and left ear, the right side of the head and the left side of the head, back of the head. Be aware of the nose, its tip and its bridge, the right eye, the left eye, the two eyebrows, and eyebrow center, the forehead, and the crown of the head, together. Head and face together, neck and shoulders, right and left arms together, chest, upper back, low back, abdomen, pelvis, right leg and left leg together, the whole body, the whole body, the whole body. And be aware of the whole body, resting the whole body. Here in this practice, in this awareness that is yoga nidra, the whole body. Home to itself, the awareness here on the inside. And notice with the inhale what is growing and sprouting. With the inhale of each breath, notice where the body is alive, perhaps with a new project, perhaps an ongoing endeavor in full swing, perhaps the fact of the season and the newness of spring. Where is the body emerging? Where is there something sprouting, growing, showing up? Let the mind move around through the inner landscape, curious and open, questing to discover Where's there new growth in this body, in this life, in this human experience? What's that feel like? What does it feel like in the body to have a new project, to have something emerging or something coming to fruition? And this might be a time of things moving away and closing down and slowing down, like every exhale. Like every exhale that makes space in the body. Notice where the body's letting go. There might be something that's finished, complete. Is there something that this body is moving away from, has been ready to let go of? Scan this awareness through the whole body with this question: where am I letting go? What can this body let go of with every exhale? What needs to be let go of to make space for the new? What can the exhale remove to make space for the new growth, for that which is emerging, arriving, showing up? Stepping into both, stepping into an awareness of all that is emerging, all that is new and becoming, and that which is departing, that which is being let go of with every breath out. Be aware of inhale, and these arrivals, and the exhale with its departures. Life organized as the breath, with that which arrives and that which departs, and coming in and going out. Let the mind ride in this knowing that life is constantly in the dance of the arrival, of the inhale and the departure of the exhale. And this awareness finds its trust, its rhythm, here in the practice that is Yoga Nidra. Holding the question, how do I wish to feel? And asking the body to show you. Let the inhale generate this experience. Let the inhale bring you closer to your wishes. How do I wish to feel? And as you listen to the body, know this answer might come later, or waves of the answer might show up in the evening hours, or in the sleep, in the dreams, or in the cravings, in the ideas of the next morning or some other time. trusting that this body has received the invitation to show up and live fully, feeling how you wish to feel. And if it feels right to do so, listen to the sounds around you. Listen near and far and left and right, and to the sounds outside and the sounds close by. Listen to the sound of your breath, your heartbeat, and begin to make a deeper breath. Listen to the breath and listen to that whisper deepening as you invite the inhale and you feel the body. You feel the whole body as this practice comes to an end. Awareness of the whole body and the breath moving in this body. Invite a deeper breath. Begin to move the tongue in the mouth. Wiggle the toes and the feet. Wiggle the fingers and the hands. Let the little movements awaken the body if you so choose. You might like to stay right where you are. In this space of awareness, there is no rush and no hurry. But the practice is coming to its end, to a close. And so taking these moments to make a decision about what to do with the awareness, to keep it still or to wake it up. And if you're waking it up, wiggling the fingers and the hands, the toes and the feet, stretching, twisting, folding, hugging the body, touching the fingertips to the thumbs, each finger one at a time, getting the power there of the brain to remember its fingers. You might touch your eyebrows and your forehead. You might touch the point between the eyebrows, just that third eye point. If that feels right, maybe a little massage for the earlobes, tugging on the ears. That's right, inviting deeper breaths, inviting any other movements and stretches. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for being here. And our practice is complete. And I look forward to seeing you again next week. Thank you for watching. Please like the video and leave a comment about your experience. And while you're here, please subscribe to my channel and opt in for notifications to catch the next class I upload. And then head over to olgachwa.com to join in a live event or to work one-on-one with me. I'm here to help.